Welcome to the RESILIA Practitioner Exam official sample paper 1 recording from One World Training. This is the first question, and we have a comment at the top. The questions from 1 through 8 will require you to not only understand the scenario from the scenario book, but also there is some additional information in the page 5 of the scenario booklet. So, and you will have to use that specifically for questions 1 through 8 that are coming up now. And these first 8 questions are based on the information about the company RELCO-Serve in the scenario booklet. And question 9 onwards and onwards will be for another company described in the same scenario booklet. And I will take you through each of these set of questions. And this part 1 recording, as I mentioned, will have the initial 25 questions. So here we go with the first one. The product owner believes that cyber resilience governance is needed to ensure the success of the market initiative. Which is the most suitable governance model for RELCO-Serve? A. The product owner defines the vision, mission, and expectations that need to be met and communicates these to all affected staff. B. The product owner evaluates the requirements, ensures staff know what is expected, and monitors to ensure compliance. C. The company founder appoints a Chief Information or Security Officer or CISO and a steering committee to be accountable. Or D. The company founder communicates his expectations to everyone in the organization and ensures that all teams take these into account. There are a few key things in the question. You have to read the additional information. So you have to read the information in the scenario, the general information, plus also the additional information given to you about RELCO-Serve. Then you can answer this question correctly. Let's go through this. And you have to recollect that what governance is. It is a set of activities that ensure the organization understands and meets the expectations of the owners and other stakeholders. So the governance must come from the company founder and not the product owner or the owner for one specific service. And there's another thing that in very small organizations, the governance may simply be the steps an owner takes to ensure that the staff understand what stakeholders need and ensure that they do what is required to protect the company and its clients. And the separate CISO and steering committee are not appropriate for such a small and agile organizations like RELCO-Serve. And the CISO role also tells us in the scenario that accountability for governance rests with the board of management or equivalent. And it's mentioned in the scenario, therefore, we cannot take the CISO or the steering committee as possible answers. And but the founder, that also means that the founder will still be needed. The founder cannot be ignored. So therefore, if you look at these, the option D will look the best one. The company founder communicates his expectations to everyone in the organization and ensures that all teams take this into account. So let's take a look at the evidence in our courseware. And let me take you to the courseware presentation as well, the RESILIA Practitioner Courseware, and I am here in slide number 44 of the courseware. So this is a different presentation altogether. And here you can see in the first bullet here, governance scenarios under controls wherein to establish governance of cyber resilience. The first point here is that in a very small organization, governance may simply be the steps an owner takes to ensure that staff understand what stakeholders need and to ensure that they do what is required to protect the company and its clients. So that is sort of clear in terms of how this should work. And that's why the last option will be correct. And we can ignore option A, that the product owner defines the vision, etc. And option B, product owner evaluates requirements, ensures staff know what is expected and monitors to ensure compliance. We can ignore that. And option C, company founder appoints a CISO and steering committee to be accountable, but all the three would be incorrect. And we also need to look at the scenario because how do we know that RELCO-Serve is a small company? And therefore, I'll have to take you to the scenario, particularly page 5, where we will see, well, page 5 was the additional information, but the general information is there until page 4. So on page 3, we will be seeing the Relco serve information has been explained. And you can see here in the first paragraph, Relco serve is a small specialist real estate company. So the word small is important for us to pick the answer, that it is the company founder who communicates his expectations to everyone in the organization and ensures that all teams take this into account. So you see, we need to not only recollect our learnings from the course, but also connect with the information in the scenario. Next, we have question number 2. What is the most important reason for the product owner to implement a formal written password policy? A, the PCI DSS standard requires formal written policy, so an informal policy will not pass the required audit. B, people designing software tests need written requirements, otherwise they would not know what to test. C, written policies are needed to ensure everyone has the same understanding of the requirements. And D, informal policies do not have enough detail to properly identify the implementation requirements. Okay, so looking at this, we need to first of all know or be aware that policies are a type of administrative control, and that help to reduce risk by ensuring that people understand what is expected of them. Policies are important for communicating with stakeholders, and they also ensure that people responsible for following the processes, procedures, and controls understand what is expected from them. And the main purpose, therefore, for a policy of each policy is to ensure that everybody has the same understanding of the requirements. Therefore, option C is looking the best one here. Written policies are needed to ensure everyone has the best, the same understanding of all the requirements. And the other three options are not inaccurate, and the policies can help with those things as well. But the option C is the one relevant to the question. So let's go and look at the courseware. And on slide 53 now, where we have creating and managing cyber resilience policies, we have here the second bullet. Policies are an important tool for communicating with stakeholders as to what is expected in the form of rules or high-level requirements. So that is an evidence for the good answer. And also we have more. If I go to slide 54 on the same topic, the second bullet, they also ensure that people responsible for following the processes, procedures, and controls understand what is expected from them. They mean the policies. And this is why we could conclude that C was the correct answer. Meaning written policies are needed to ensure everyone has the same understanding of the requirements. Let's move on to question number 3. To assist in the governance of cyber resilience, the organization has decided to communicate information about new security policies to all stakeholders. Which is the best way to plan this communication? A, write an email to senior managers asking them to cascade the information so that all staff get the information from their manager. B, implement a CRM, meaning a customer relationship management system, to map and manage all stakeholder communications. C, write identical emails to all staff explaining the new policies so that everyone has exactly the same information. Option D, use a spreadsheet with name, role, and stakeholder category to map and manage all stakeholder communications. So this question is about communication, the best way to plan the communication, meaning communicate new security policies to all stakeholders. So option A, writing an email, this does not communicate based on the needs of each stakeholder group. So this would not be the best one. Option B, implementing CRM. This is a small organization. It is Relco Serve for this question. Again, for the questions 1 to 8. And therefore, in such a small organization, CRM is too big an investment probably for the required level of communication. So we can ignore that for now and come back to it if it is relevant. C, writing identical mails to everybody, and this means it's the same communication to everyone. So it is not a planned communication, which is based on the needs of each stakeholder group. So that is missing here. So C is incorrect. Therefore, the last option, using a spreadsheet with name, role, and stakeholder category to map and manage all stakeholder communications. And this is because regular communication with each group of stakeholders is a key aspect of stakeholder management. The communication needs to be planned based on the needs of each stakeholder group. So therefore, this would be correct. And let's take a look at the evidence of this in the courseware. We have that on slide number 52. One of the controls in RESILIA is to manage the stakeholders, and we have here planning stakeholder communications. And if you look at the communication purposes, and we have here to ensure cyber resilience requirements are understood and identify when requirements change. So, and secondly, to inform stakeholders of their cyber resilience responsibilities and ensure these are understood and accepted. And at the top there, it is important to plan and perform regular communication through the cyber resilience cycle with each stakeholder group. So those tell us clearly why we picked up that answer, that using a spreadsheet with name, role, and stakeholder category to map and manage all stakeholder communications. Next, we have question number 4 coming up. The product manager is creating a communication plan to ensure that all staff know their responsibilities for PSI DSS compliance. Which is the best approach to ensure that everyone has read and understood the information? A, each communication includes a requirement to take a short test on the company intranet. B, regular audits include testing employee understanding of the information received. C, each communication includes a requirement for staff to confirm that they have understood the information. D, written tests are taken by all employees at weekly staff meetings. The first choice here, each communication includes a requirement to take a short test on the company intranet. This seems to be a good one to ensure that everybody has read and understood. So we'll keep it as a possible answer. B, regular audits. Now, these are generally less frequent, and therefore that's not a good way to ensure that every communication has been understood. C, each communication includes requirements of staff to confirm they have understood. Now, here, if an email is sent for it, it only confirms that the email has been received, but not that it has been understood. So C is not good. D, written test taken by all employees at weekly staff meetings. Now, it's a small company, again, Relco Serve, agile company, and taking written exams in a face-to-face meeting is not probably a good idea. It might not be a good cultural fit also. And to do it in every weekly staff meeting. So therefore, the first answer will be correct, choice A. And let's take a look at the answer evidence in the courseware. We have here slide 52 in the courseware, and we have the box on the right side. Communication needs to be two-way. And if you look at the second bullet and the last sentence, this communication may therefore include tests or requests for positive confirmation to ensure that employees have been properly engaged. And that was the answer that we picked up as a choice A. Now we move on to question number 5. A company is considering carrying out internal audits in addition to the annual external audits required for PCI DSS compliance. How often should these be carried out? A. Once a year, a few weeks before the external audit to ensure they are prepared for the external audit. B. Twice a year, once a few weeks before external audit and once halfway between external audits. C. Every month. The cost of a security breach could be very high, so they must ensure all controls in place. D. Not at all, as the external audit of PCI DSS compliance is enough and the cost of internal audits could be high. So Relco Serve, they make a lot of changes. So annual audits are not going to be sufficient. And that's why option A and D, the last one, both will be incorrect. Now option C, every month. Now monthly audits will be too expensive and disruptive for a small organization. Therefore, it's a DevOps based organization which uses a lot of information for ensuring constant compliance to security standards. And therefore, it should be sufficient to maintain security between 6 monthly audits, every 6 months, that is, at least. And therefore, the best option that we see here is option B, twice a year, once a few weeks before the external audit and once halfway between external audits. So we had ruled out A and D, and then even ruled out C and concluded on choice B. And let's take a look at the courseware for the answer evidence there. And I'm taking you to slide number 65. This is about audits. And here we can see the box here. Many organizations apply a multi-level approach for audit controls. And we can see the third bullet, internal audits to ensure that the organization is fully prepared for an external audit and to help prevent undetected issues between external audits. These may be annual or more frequent where appropriate. So that's the evidence of the correct answer. Let us also take a look at the scenario, by the way. And we can see in the scenario, I'm in page number 4 of the scenario, which is still about Relco Serve only. And here we can see second paragraph, Relco Serve make use of Agile and DevOps. So that's where I was mentioning they make use of DevOps to deliver rapidly changing services, to stay ahead of competitors and to meet their customers' expectations. And that's why the answer that we picked, choice B, is correct. Next, we have question number 6. The product owner for the new service is considering how the cost of PCI DSS compliance should be funded. Which is the best approach? A, funding must come from the budget for the new service, as this is the only service where PCI DSS will deliver value. B, PCI DSS should be considered as an enabling capability for a range of potential future services and should be funded separately. C, PCI DSS is considered as an operational capability and not a development issue, and funding should come out of the operations budget. Then the last choice, D, a separate project should be created for PCI DSS and all potential services that might use it. This project should fund PSI DSS compliance. In our learning, we should recollect that when organizations quantify the value that IT services contribute to the business, they should include analysis of the value created by cyber resilience aspects of the services. And the value contributed by PCI DSS compliance will go well beyond the value of the self-marketing real estate service. Therefore, A is incorrect. That is funding coming from the budget for the new service, um, as this is the only service where PCI DSS will deliver value. That is an incorrect statement. Then we also look at choice C and B and D. Now, B, PCI DSS should be considered as an enabling capability for a range of services and should be funded separately. This seems to be a potential answer, so let's keep it with us for now. Option C, let's check if that is correct or not. PCI DSS is considered as an operational capability and not a development issue, and funding should come out of the operations budget. This is incorrect because PCI DSS requires heavy funding for the design work, and the operational budget will not have money allocated for the design work. So C is incorrect. And option D, a separate project for PCI DSS. This is incorrect because the organization runs development work as agile DevOps rather than large projects. So that's not a good cultural fit. And it's not possible that currently um, every use of PCI DSS can be identified right away to the level required for initiating the project. Therefore, that is also incorrect, and therefore we can conclude with choice B, because that was sounding more reasonable to consider PCI DSS as an enabling capability for a range of future services and therefore to be funded separately. Therefore, let us take a look at the evidence of the answer in the learning. And we have here the interaction with ITIL, financial management of IT services. And we can see here the third point, all aspects of financial management for cyber resilience should be integrated into one overall enterprise financial management process. So this is the right point. And we can see below that the first one, sub-bullet budgeting and accounting for cyber resilience should be part of the overall budgeting and accounting. And then we have the small box at the right bottom. Cyber resilience is centrally funded. There is no separate charging for it. Cost centers do not charge for their services. That's also a good hint for us to pick up choice B for this question, because PCI DSS should be considered as an enabling capability for a range of potential future services and should be funded separately.